Straight up, I hate covering badge cams like this, but I think they're important for training. Today's video is sponsored by Delete Me. Delete Me is who I use and trust to help me protect myself and my family from the ravages that can come from data brokers selling your information. You have the right to protect yourself and your loved ones from the misuse of your data, and Delete Me is the way that I recommend that you do. I have been using Delete Me for all of 2024, and they're an incredible, really easy to use automated service that you give them your information and then they go to work working to look up every data broker that has your data and getting it removed from their databases. They recheck every 90 days and remove information again as needed so that you don't get added back after the fact. They help you keep your private data private, which is absolutely your right. Also helps you protect yourself from things like online harassment for maybe your personal or political views, also phishing scams and identity theft. I love that every 90 days they send me a report that says this is how many data brokers that we searched, this is what we found, this is what we had removed. Get 20% off Delete Me US consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/ASP and use promo code ASP at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/ASP, promo code ASP. Hi everyone, welcome to today's badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa.
I'm your co-host, Mike Williver. Today's video comes to us from Merced County, California.
Deputies are responding to a single vehicle wreck that's here on this kind of side street. We have audio, let's listen in.
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
Good, good.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, I'll see you when you get down.
So what happened?
I tried to take Belcher, honestly, for a short way to go down here, but honestly, this road, I swear, I just didn't even know where I was going.
Okay, honest with you. Okay, I'm gonna be transparent with you. Okay.
Right.
All right. Just because due to the condition that the car went through the fence and stuff, and you did say you had been drinking.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna have.
I'm going to jail.
Test.
There's no need for a sobriety test or nothing like that. I'm a yeah.
Just wait right here, okay?
So look, man, they're gonna do their test. Okay.
But I'm just wanting not to waste your guys' time. There's no need for a sobriety test. I'm drunk.
Okay.
I've been drinking. There's
obviously
A licensed driver to drive the car, right?
not necessarily. You really liquor. So
That's not even crazy. So for you to get at my girl like that,
Babe,
Okay. Hey, do me a favor.
Stop!
Hey,
Stop!
hey,
bro, hook it off.
Listen,
bro.
listen.
Get off, bro. Get off.
I'm leaving!
It's okay. We got him. We got him.
him.
Okay. Place your hands behind your back.
Put your hands behind your back now.
Or you're gonna get another tase. Listen. Hold me. You got him?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Roll over. Partner, roll over. Roll over.
Hey,
Stop playing like that and roll over.
roll over.
Come on. Come on. Reset that. So you start 11:41.
Oh,
Roll over.
oh, I'm sorry.
Roll over.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
sit up.
I'm sorry, sir. Oh,
Sit up.
I'm sorry.
Sit up.
The man was injured pretty badly in this one, actually. And in the internal affairs investigation, the sergeant that threw the kicks resigned pretty much in lieu of being fired. He was subsequently brought up on charges, California's version of aggravated assault charges in this particular case. I have not seen that those charges are adjudicated here about 15 months later at the time of this filming. Either it didn't make the news when it all went down or it's still in process, but we're gonna talk about those in the lessons. I hate this, Mike, but I really feel like if you accept a commission as a law enforcement officer, you should be held to a high standard. You should be held to a standard of professional conduct, and this ain't it. Hell here, and I think that the sergeant's actions are reprehensible. I think the deputy here actually comports himself really well. I think he's respectful. I think he's trying to get a drunk guy to say, hey man, we gotta do our path, and I get it and all that stuff. So I just want to commend this deputy for being a professional, even in a manner when clearly his sergeant wasn't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore, John. The responding deputy, the one whose case this was, because the sergeant's not going to take a DUI case or an accident case. He's a supervisor, allegedly. So this deputy was comporting himself perfectly well, professional, friendly, all that sort of thing. And that's the way I want my cops to act. You know, I'll just say this from the outset here. It's not often that I'm shocked by something I see in one of these videos. I'm surprised sometimes, not frequently shocked. I audibly gasped when I saw this video when John sent it to me originally. And I and every other cop that I know are absolutely horrified by this, just FYI. This is not something that I ever saw in my entire 30-year career, this level of abuse from an officer, basically unprovoked. The provocation did not warrant the actions of this sergeant at all.
And you can see here that our suspect here in the DUI, he kind of takes this weird kind of swing, but it's not really a swing at this sergeant. If you look at it, there's actually another angle in the link in the description. I don't think it really helped a ton, but it kind of shows how far away he is from the sergeant. So he's just kind of flailing at the air, angry. But I do think it's worth reminding all of our law enforcement officers and us as private citizens that drunks can be unpredictable and can get violent in a hurry. So you've got to pay attention to that. And when he starts getting violent here, I think the answer, this is a great place for an OC spray. Not a great place for a taser, but just bless this guy with the hot sauce and then let him calm down on his own so you can get him into cuffs. Yeah,
as a standalone moment, I would advise a law enforcement officer to be a little bit further away from the suspect unless you need to be as close as he was. Give yourself some reactionary gap. You know, time buys you options, right? So he's a little close. Aside from that, yeah, I concur absolutely that pepper spray was the move, would have been the move here, or even, you know, a single leg takedown or a punch to the face maybe at this point. But that's not what happened as we see. I really, I can't say enough about, again, I'm a broken record, how disturbed I am by what ensues here.
And listen, what you just said a second ago, Mike, you know, okay, so the guy now, they go to put hands on him. Okay, buddy, you're getting violent. Nope, we're going to put you in cuffs now. Now this is over. And now he takes a legit swing at the sergeant, okay? And so ordinary physical force is absolutely authorized in order to put an end to his assault, to get this guy into custody. Okay, fine. But something snapped here in this sergeant, and he took this personally. It's very clear he took this personally. And listen, if you're a law enforcement officer, you have to be a professional and have enough emotional understanding of yourself to stay in control of yourself and not use force punitively, but protectively. And that's where I think the big problem was here.
There's something, I'm sure it's not just law enforcement, it's probably military fire. It's probably a corporate saying, I'm going to take a mental health day. I'm going to use 8 hours of my sick leave to take a mental health day because I've had a rough week. My wife and I are arguing, or, you know, I'm going through a custody battle, or I'm being sued, or whatever else is going on in your life. If you recognize that as a law enforcement officer, that maybe you need to take a day or two off and just clear your head, because none of those things going on in your personal life have any bearing on your job, on the person you're interacting with. as a professional, you need to be able to take all the insults, people, impugning your mother's character and the sexual proclivities of every woman, in your entire lineage, little half swings, full swings. The use of force in response to this assault needed to be appropriate, and it was not. It was completely inappropriate.
Especially if you've interacted with drunks some. When you've interacted with a drunk, they're not exactly what you'd call leviathans in terms of their capabilities when they're drunk. And this guy's drunk enough to wreck a car. And so what I really see here is a very quick and easy takedown, which is good. The sergeant did fine getting him into the ground. And then straight up, this is abhorrent to me. I mean, this is a shod foot, a booted foot, kick to the face on a downed, drunken opponent stuffed under a patrol car. There's nothing objectively reasonable about this. I'm aghast at it. In fact, Mike, when we were off camera before this, you and I were talking about the fact, I mean, if the situation's reversed and you saw a person kicking a deputy in the face like that, you probably draw your gun and shoot him.
Well, it would certainly be in the conversation, right? In my thinking, let's say I was an off-duty agent at the time and rolled up on this, or I was a responding deputy and I rolled up on this, and the roles were reversed. So the deputy's the one on the ground, and the suspect is kicking him in the head with a boot repeatedly. I would definitely consider using deadly force right off the bat, because that is aggravated assault bordering on attempted murder. Certainly great bodily injury is in the mix. You're kicking someone in the head with a shot foot, as John said. That's going to cause brain damage. This guy, I don't know what his status is now, but if he didn't have something approximating a traumatic brain injury, I'd be surprised, because this is extremely violent and extremely dangerous what this sergeant's doing. So yeah, if I rolled up on this and I was armed, I might give a command, hey, stop what you're doing, but I wouldn't wait very long, because, 2 or 3 more of these, this guy's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, or he has a brain bleed or something even worse. This is a bad situation. So yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, John. Thank you.
Well, and listen, I mean, is there a time and a place to use deadly force? Yes. Is this it? Absolutely not. It just isn't. And clearly the sergeant has gone way over the line, has gone out of control, and we can't have that. Guys, this is the kind of job you got to do right. And so you've got to maintain control of yourself. Now, I will say, I think the deputy kind of walks in here and he's like, Sarge, stop. And then he reaches out and grabs a hold of him. Stop, we got him. That's enough. And I know some people are going to be probably frustrated, Mike, that he didn't do more. But actually, I think reaching out and touching him was what it took to stop the assault and to get him to kind of reset. And so I think it was an effective thing. And I'm pretty sure this sergeant is his supervisor, or at least in a supervisory role around him. And so that took a good bit of guts, and I think kudos to him for that.
Yeah, the sergeant, generally speaking, in a domestic law enforcement setting, the sergeant or corporal will be the first line supervisor. So there's a group of agents or deputies or officers, maybe 8 or 10 or 15, and there's a corporal and a sergeant. The sergeant's sort of in charge of that whole group. That sergeant in turn answers to a lieutenant, and so on. So I know there's going to be people who deep down are thinking, yeah. If the cameras weren't, there, nobody would have reported this. It would have gone completely unpunished. I beg to differ. I've never in 30 years seen an officer assault someone like this in my presence. I mean, I've seen videos and stuff, but never when I was around did I ever see anything like this. And I firmly believe this deputy is in shock right now, what he's seeing. It took him a second to be like, wait, what's happening? And step in and stop it. But I'm likely to say this would have been reported by this other deputy at some point. He would have saved that badge cam footage and talked to a lieutenant or talked to internal affairs or someone, whatever he had to do. And I do want to commend the sergeant, the sheriff of Merced County, who introduced the video that they put out. And he immediately at the very beginning said, this is not who we are. This is not what we do. This is unacceptable. So good for him for saying that and making that abundantly clear, because it is thoroughly unacceptable.
And if you go watch his introduction to it, he's also wearing a pretty cool medal. That's like the insignia of his office. Now, if you watched that first playthrough, you heard the agonal breathing here when they finally get this guy turned over. Friends, you hear that, you need to start medical attention immediately. This guy is badly, badly hurt. And I got to tell you, is it wrong for him to have taken a swing at the sergeant? Yes. Is it wrong for him to be drinking and driving? Yes. Did anything he do rise to the level of this kind of beating? Absolutely not. And I'm not sure how many zeros the lawsuit is going to have on it that he is going to win from the department, from the, the office, but it's going to be a lot that the people of this county are paying. And not only that, now, I just want to say from this sergeant's perspective, now it's cost this sergeant his career. He had to resign, and it's going to cost him his freedom. He's going to do some prison time for this. And that's terrible. So hear me now. Again, officers, deputies, agents, whatever law enforcement capacity you're in, take your mental health seriously. Take your anger management stuff very seriously. Make sure that you understand you must stay in emotional control, and that means if you got to go see the shrink, you got to go see the counselor, those are good resources for you. Take advantage of them, use them. Make sure that you've got some hobbies, that you're doing non-cop stuff, that you've got a way to blow off steam, that you're getting your PT done so that you've got, your physical body isn't betraying you, because all this stuff is terrible. Mike and I both, we just watched this one in shock and in disgust. We have to do better than this, friends. Let's use this as good training so that it doesn't happen to anyone else and we can better cover our ASP.